Hey everybody, what is happening? It is Rob from Crypto Bobby. Welcome to Crypto Happy Hour. I hope you are having a good one so far today, tonight, wherever you might be watching this live from, or if you're watching the recording, wherever you're watching the recording of this. Just making sure this is getting all set up here. Perfect. So appreciate your time. Thank you for everybody, taking the time to join, whether you're live right now or you're watching a recording later. And excited to just chat with you a little bit tonight about what is happening in the world of crypto, helping you try to clarify as much as humanly possible in the crypto space and go over really what is happening in the world of crypto today. So let's hop into it. What is up, Ha? What's up, Joven, Graham, Nguyen? How is it going, everybody? Sorga Hill, what is up? What is up, my man? And again, appreciate everybody taking the time to just making sure this stream is all set up and working well. Omar, what up? What up? John? So, I mean, as far as everything goes, a couple different people. Sparkles mentioning what's happening with crypto today, most of it being down a little bit, and talking a little bit about that. So yeah, overall the majority of the market is down today, but if we're going on a 24-hour time frame, I mean, it's a pretty minimal move. If we're really getting into it, it's a pretty damn minimal move. If you want to be in the crypto space, for the most part, you got to be comfortable with up and down movements. If you're not, go invest in the S&P 500, or not saying you shouldn't, because I have a lot of money in the S&P 500, but invest in the stock market, invest in bonds, invest in whatever the hell you want. If you don't want volatility, crypto's volatile, you got to get used to that. So, but I mean, if we're looking at the overall market in general, really not that crazy volatile today. A little bit of a pullback at a certain point in time. It's kind of settled off and shaken off a little bit, but for the most part, it really wasn't news driven, which was interesting to see as well. I think it's more trading on technical analysis and the charts, a little bit of a sell-off, a little bit of profits. Hello from Antarctica. I'm not going to pronounce your name, even though we'll see it on the live stream. But and going into it, what's up from Narnia? So going into it today, guys, I'll kick things off and just pass it over to you as well. I can get into Bitcoin or Ethereum and look at some of these charts here. But if you guys have any crypto that you want to talk about today, sound off in the comments. And I try to get to as many comments, just so you guys know, I try to get to as many comments as humanly possible. But if you really want a question answered, throw in a super chat. I will 100% answer it if it's a super chat, but I try to answer as many as possible. So just throw in your questions where you'd like, and happy to discuss those. And if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate that too. Just taking a look here at some of these questions here. Oh, jerkin. So I'll take a look, and maybe we can start off. So somebody mentioned, I guess, two ones that look pretty popular: Qtum right now, and then another one being Bitcoin Cash. So we can talk about Bitcoin Cash a little bit and go over Bitcoin Cash. What's up from Malaysia? So Bitcoin Cash has had I would say, a pretty slow, steady sell-off, especially in the month of September. It's basically been downhill pretty much the entire month of September, and has continued that trend from October. So, with that being said, I think that I don't know if Bitcoin Cash is losing, people are losing excitement around Bitcoin Cash per se, but I think that the debate between SegWit 2x and the no SegWit 2x is taking a lot of the heat and interest away from Bitcoin Cash and moving that to the battle between SegWit 2x and 2x, or SegWit 2x and no 2x. So with that being said, I think there's a little bit of waning interest in Bitcoin Cash, and there's a lot of issues with mining that are going on. And I don't know. I'm not somebody who's me personally super bullish on Bitcoin Cash. I feel like it's a very centralized group of people that are really pushing it, like Roger Ver and some of those guys, Jihan from Bitmain, kind of that whole crew of people. So when it comes down to it, I'm not like really bullish on Bitcoin Cash personally. I know it's a political statement, whether you're one way or another, but I don't really own any BCH or BCC, whatever the hell you want to call it. So I don't really own any Bitcoin Cash, but I get the investment there, but it looks to me like it's in a pretty strong downtrend, or has really been since that big spike back up to $800 at a certain point. So that's kind of my initial just thoughts on Bitcoin Cash there, as far as it goes. And taking a look at some of these other ones here too. RealCoin, easy money. Isn't RealCoin supposed to be like BitConnect 2.0, which is just ugh. No thanks. Yeah, I'll buy crypto that actually has realistic uses and not just isn't a Ponzi scheme. But maybe I'm wrong about RealCoin. Tell me if I'm wrong. But the people that are pushing RealCoin, I'm not a big fan of. So, is what it is. Somebody mentioned good time to buy OMG. I'm looking at OMG and I'm holding OMG right now. I can pull up Coinigy as well. But I'm holding OMG at this point in time. I got in pretty early, so I kind of have a lot of leeway, honestly, on it. But a lot of people have said from a charting perspective that OMG is starting to go into a bearish pattern per se. And it hasn't, it's held up for the most part. And I'm still like, I got in OMG back when it was $1 or so, and now it's up to $9. So I'm kind of sitting, for the most part, I'm sitting pretty. And I'm not, I'm personally not too worried about it, but I don't know where it might be. I might exit some of that position in the near future and take some of that profits. I'm waiting to see it shake out. I really don't know. I mean, it's at a pretty steep valuation. I think it's a really legit company. But I mean, we were at $1 billion valuation. We're over $900 million at one point. So it's possible that it could come back down. I'm not 100. Like I said, I have probably more exposure to Omisego, to OMG than I need, or than I should have. I might take some profits, quite frankly, and put it into Bitcoin or put it into Ethereum and let the rest roll. But I'm trying to kind of determine that. So as far as me saying it's a definitive buy, I don't know. After kind of it's seeing it shake out a little bit for the past month or so. I'm having a tough time with that, but I guess we will see. So somebody mentioned, am I still invested in Manetha MTH? Yeah, I am. And right now for me, I'm still waiting on it to get onto a legit exchange, I would say. So right now, I mean, I'm a little bit, if we're being honest, a little bit disappointed in the actual price action of Manetha. Sorry for going backwards here, but a little bit disappointed in the overall price action of Manetha. I mean, it's not even in the top 100 right now, $29 million market cap. It was up to $85 million at one point in time, and then is down quite a bit even from the past couple of days. It had a nice spike and then dropped off a cliff as well. So I'm still holding Manetha at this point. But I kind of want to wait till it hits a bigger exchange besides Ether Delta and hit BTC. And at that point in time, I might look to exit some of the position and maybe hold a little bit of the rest. But it's a lot of the deal with ICOs that I've been talking about is there's this dead period now where these ICOs come out and there's a lot of excitement. They sell out quickly, and then it's taking them. It's been, I think it's almost exactly a month from now that Manetha became tradable. So it's basically been tradable, and it's basically fallen off a cliff since it hit Ether Delta. And a lot of the reason for that is it's not on a real exchange. I mean, it's on Ether Delta, but that's really it. Every other exchange here has like minuscule volume. So will it, from that perspective, will it, once it hits maybe a Bittrex or a Poloniex, will it jack up in price? I hope so, because it was at one point in time, if we're looking at the actual, I'll pull up Ether Delta here so we can take a look, but Manetha at one point in time, so as this loads, sometimes Sorry for Ether Delta taking forever. I posted this on Twitter today. That's a spam caller. I'm going to kill him. I don't know who that is, but they're getting off the phone. So with Manetha, I mean, you can see here this is not all my Manetha, but I have about 6,000 or so that I'm trying to potentially sling off in my smart contract right now. I believe the Manetha to ETH ratio, I forget the exact price of what it was, but it's up from the ICO, so it's still a profitable investment on an Ethereum standpoint. But there was one point in time where right now it's at 0.0047. There was one point in time where it was at 0.001. So it's down quite a bit from there, and I don't necessarily expect it to get all the way back up to that, but I hope I can. I hope I can improve some of the profits there, just to increase the Ethereum stack. Because there was at one point in time where I basically would have tripled my investment if I sold it, and I didn't do that. I held on because I got greedy, and now that's So, is what it is. Yeah, really nice landline, right? It came with the TV and the TV and the internet. So thanks, Verizon. But it came with the TV and the internet, and the only calls I have are somehow spam calls because I don't even know what my own landline is. So sorry about that. So taking a look at some of these questions again here. Thoughts on a few ICOs. So I try to keep up with as many of the ICOs as possible. It's not always easy. I'm sure you guys know that too. And I mentioned that as one of the big, kind of the big problems as far as things go. Just overall doing research, because there's so many ICOs. Like if you go to Smith and Crown right now, or some of those ICO review sites, it's just a freaking overwhelming thing as well. So I try to do as much research as possible, but it's not always, it's not always something I'm able to get done. So I'll pop over. Somebody's asked about Qtum, Ehab. He asked about Qtum, so I'll take a look at Qtum for you, and we'll look at some of the price action here. But with that being said as well, again, too, guys, if I try to answer as many of these questions as humanly possible, but if you ever need anything that's like must-have, just throw it in the super chat, and I'll get to you there too. Decentralized landlines on the blockchain. That sounds like a great idea. I really think that would, if you, Jerkin, if you want to hop in, I'll gladly be an advisor for that ICO. Just give me some pre-ICO shares, and we're good to go. But with that being said, so I think Qtum is a pretty interesting crypto. We can take a look at the website itself. I mean, pretty substantial market cap in and of its own right. And, with that pretty substantial market cap, trying to build, there are multiple companies that are trying to build blockchains for businesses, for existing businesses, and allow for this type of approach. I think Qtum has a pretty decent following and some pretty decent kind of investment interest. What I've noticed in a lot of cases too is Qtum has been trading in some cases on the trading in some cases on the actual a lot on the movements of NEO and China news. Like when China regulation comes out and it's negative, like you could see there was kind of when all that China news came out in the end of August, that really crushed the price of Qtum. It was over $1 billion at one point, basically cut it in half, and is now since recovered a little bit, back up to, is at one point trading above, about $19, and then went all the way down to $7-8 or so, and is now back above $10. So it's recovering fairly nicely now, somewhat trading in line with Bitcoin. But that's one thing, if you're looking at Qtum, is for that perspective, you just want to, I think it's pretty closely tied to how things are running in the world of, in China as well. Steve Cameron, thank you for that super chat, man. Appreciate that. And as far as, looking at BAT, Basic Attention Token, I believe. Let me pull that down. Where the hell is it? So I'll pull up BAT for you. Basic Attention Token. Fairly interesting cryptocurrency, really interesting concept in my opinion. And yeah, I don't know if you guys are aware of what this one is, what it does, but essentially instead of advertising, so like, right now I have advertising on my YouTube channel because it helps me to make a little bit of money to justify doing this and having a good time with all you guys, and basically spending all my damn day outside of work doing this. So that is something that that's something that is kind of the existing model right now for advertising is Decur. I will get to your super chat there as well. So give me a second. I'll go through BAT and then I'll get to Ripple and Stellar Lumens as well. But basically BAT, it's one of the founders of JavaScript and Mozilla. And they're trying to do something where instead of being advertised to, it's basically an ad-free, I believe it's like an ad-free browser where you basically buy tokens and pay for almost not necessarily tip, but it's kind of flipping the advertising and the monetization model of the internet on its head so that it's more transparent, it's decentralized, and these tokens are kind of a link between users. You can see here it's basically between users, publishers, and advertisers, so kind of linking them in a different manner than they're being linked now. From a price action perspective, I mean, it's a somewhat pretty valuable cryptocurrency. I mean, as of right now, it's had a good movement in August, September, and October. It's one of those cryptocurrencies that, in my mind, it's kind of like there's a lot of utility tokens that are somewhat like moonshots, in my opinion. Like Basic Attention Token can really come off and can really do a... Sorry, I had a freaking massive burrito before I had this conversation, before I'm talking to you guys right now. So if I'm burping up a storm, it's because I just ate a freaking Chipotle steak burrito. But as far as it goes, Basic Attention Token and a lot of these other utility tokens, I really think that it's unique. It's something that not a lot of people are doing, and it has the potential to go up quite a bit. It also has the potential to go down quite a bit, because if this never materializes, if nobody ever uses this, the utility of this token is really not going to be worth that much. So it's something you really want to keep an eye on how, and not just Basic Attention Token, but a lot of these other cryptocurrencies out there where, whether it's like Civic or if it's Status or if it's Siacoin or all these like product utility tokens, if nobody's using the product at one point in time, they're gonna start taking a dive off a cliff. They're gonna start heading down towards zero. Basic Attention Token BAT might be one of those ones that continues to rise up and do well. Maybe it won't. I guess we'll have to see. So Decur, appreciate the super chat there as well, man. And asking about, so Ripple first, I'll hop into that. I know a couple different people are asking about Ripple. I've spoken about Ripple a little bit in the past. It's not something that myself personally I am super jacked up on. I just think as far as it goes, there's a lot of companies out there right now that are there's a lot of companies out there right now that are creating enterprise level blockchains. You have companies like Microsoft, you have companies like Oracle, pretty sure Amazon's in the space as well. There are multiple companies running this, trying to create, you have multiple companies with consensus. There's numerous things out there as well. And with Ripple, it's definitely different. It's more of it's for the enterprises, for existing businesses. And I just don't necessarily, I mean, it's an interesting cryptocurrency, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know as far as long term. It had that incredible run in July and has since, maybe leveled off a little bit. But I mean, as far as Ripple goes, I mean, it's a pretty steep valuation in my opinion, being at $7.7 billion. And I just don't know if I feel like that's necessarily justified in my mind based upon the level of, if they're really an enterprise company, and it's really a centralized cryptocurrency, like Ripple owns Ripple. It's not like, nobody owns Bitcoin. Nobody really owns Ethereum. Ripple owns Ripple. Ripple is a company. that owns Ripple. So it's a very, you're investing in something that is very much different than different than that. So, or different than a Bitcoin or an Ethereum or a Litecoin or something of that nature as well. And going back into it, so Stellar Lumens, that's a little bit of my thoughts on Ripple from a price action perspective. Who knows where it'll go? But that was kind of my just overall thoughts there on Ripple. And then I'll take a look at Stellar Lumens. So I haven't, if I'm being really frank, I haven't done a ton of research. On Stellar Lumens. I mean, if you're looking at this spike right here, going from 14, 30, holy crap. There were so many crazies. These all-time charts are so nuts when you look at how how well some of these cryptocurrencies have spiked. But I mean, if you're taking a look at the 1 month charts, the month of September, pretty damn bearish pattern. You're taking a look at the 3 month charts, basically downhill. So Stellar Lumens there's a lot of companies that are trying to do something in this space. And like somebody else has said, a lot of these cryptocurrencies at some point are going to go to zero, quite frankly. There are going to be, not necessarily that the entire market is going to blow up at a certain point in time, but if you guys, there are so many altcoins out there, there's so many utility tokens, there's so many ICOs happening that there's going to be a point in time where these cryptocurrencies really have to justify their existence and the need for somebody to buy and hold this cryptocurrencies. Because eventually somebody who is buying, whether or not, if Stellar Lumens can fulfill the vision that they want to fill, fantastic. But if somebody, let's say, you're new to the cryptocurrency space and you bought Stellar Lumens when it was at 2 cents US dollar, and now it's down below, now it's down at about half of that, almost trading below a cent. There's not much incentive for a lot of people to hold in that case, or, whatever it might be. So you want to, would you rather throw your money back into Bitcoin, into Ethereum, into a larger cryptocurrency? Maybe you'd rather do that. But I think that there's going to be a certain point in time where you're really going to want to probably concentrate your investments. I'm looking at that as well, as far as concentrating those investments and really understanding where to make money in the short term and where to make money in the long term. And I feel like long term, some of the larger cryptocurrencies, there's going to be a point where not necessarily the bubble's going to pop, but there's going to be a point where the overall market itself is, I feel like, going to consolidate back in some of these kind of shitty altcoins that really don't have a business model or really don't have any justification for having $100, $200 million valuation, are going to go back below $50 million and go from there. So we'll have to see. So let me so RealCoin. Well, if you invest in RealCoin, you're down 25% today, so that's too bad. I mean, this website looks like it was kind of put together by a 5-year-old. I don't know. Anything with any cryptocurrency that has an affiliate program for you. This basically looks to me like Herbalife, and it basically looks like a Herbalife and Beachbody on the blockchain. So I'm a pass, hard pass. If you can make money in that, great. But when it comes down, it's coming down. And somebody mentioned, too. So Shalom mentioned, if you don't know what you're doing in the alt market, just hold Bitcoin. I completely agree there. I think that's a good point. If the big thing that you really want to understand, whether it's RealCoin or whatever it is, and again, I'm not really advocating for this. I'm not a big fan of it, but everybody, you invest in what the hell you want to invest in. That's not up to me. That's up to you. And as always, you do you. And I'll do me, and I'll give my thoughts on that and be as upfront as possible. But, you want to invest in something that is going to, if you can't outperform Bitcoin in the long run, just keep your money in Bitcoin or keep your money in Ethereum or something like that. And that's typically kind of what I recommend and what I see as a good way to do things in the future because ultimately everything is trading against, a lot of things are trading against Bitcoin or trading against, trading against Ethereum. So if you can't beat the returns in Bitcoin or beat the returns in Ethereum, then why are you holding that cryptocurrency? You really have to justify to yourself of that as well. Curtis, is the Ethan Allen's is the stock price up because of my video today? I don't know. Is that the case? I think it might be. That one video today, I'm pretty sure jacked up the price of Ethan Allen. So you're welcome, Ethan Allen. And somebody mentioned, have I ever done one-on-one phone or Skype sessions? I've kind of debated that a little bit, but I've debated that a little bit. Haven't done it yet. I just don't know if I have the time or necessarily. I want to make sure if I'm doing that, I'm just really providing value to you. So definitely something that I've considered a little bit, but I want to make sure that there's really value there. And somebody else just mentioned, why am I not using the new camera? So I got this thing, this little DSLR camera. It's pretty sweet actually, but I'm still having some issues in terms of using it as a webcam. It's not really from a webcam standpoint. It hasn't been perfect yet with OBS, which is the software. Whoop, shit, that would have been bad. That would have been the end of, I don't know if you guys saw that, but that would have been the end of my new DSLR camera. So that was pretty close. But getting back into it. So I'm looking at some of these comments. So somebody mentioned the Black Moon buyback activated. My thoughts on the Black Moon buyback. With that being said, I did the Black Moon ICO review. I've spoken to the CEO of Black Moon. I like that personally. I think that was one of the reasons I ended up doing the ICO review on Black Moon. I think they have a strong team in place. I think the buyback was a smart idea, and the fact that they're actually executing on that, in my mind, just goes to show the legitimacy of the company as well. So something that I think is an interesting thing for a lot of people as well. So Jess, thank you for that super chat. Thoughts on Power Ledger. So a couple thoughts on Power Ledger. So I've actually spoken to, I've personally spoken to the, I believe the co-founder of Power Ledger over email. They were looking at one point in time to potentially have me review the ICO. But in speaking to a couple different people, on whether or not I should review the ICO and talk to you guys about the ICO itself. I don't even know if the ICO if it's done or if it's still going on. But I think they did something a little bit, let's see here. So I think they did something a little bit fuzzy with I don't know exactly, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I think they did something a little bit fuzzy with the presale where they kind of screwed over people with the presale, where they weren't selling out as much with the actual ICO as they had thought. So basically the benefits that were supposed to be given to the people in the presale, I think they got equal benefits or even greater benefits in the public sale, which is never a good sign. So I held off on reviewing the ICO just because I didn't necessarily want to push anybody in the wrong direction by any stretch. So, and this is kind of funny. I don't know why it's happening with this logo, but for whatever reason, I don't know if you're looking up here, but it literally says ass power, just the way they have their logo designed. So they might want to fix that. Asset germination, power. But, with that being said, with any ICO, you really want to understand what the overall sentiment of it is. And if you have any friends in the industry, or if you can try to reach out to people that are within the industry as far as understanding what's happening, what's going on, if there's people that that do a lot of research there, one thing that I really would recommend one thing that I would really recommend is trying to reach out to them, because that's what I did when I saw some information about, really about Power Ledger and got some outreach from them. I asked some of my buddies that do a ton of research on ICOs, and they said they got in on the pre-sale, and I believe just were not really feeling it in the future. So with that being said, I kind of stayed away for it. So I think it's an interesting application itself, or kind of how basically the thought process of a lot of this information with Power Ledger, kind of the ICO itself, seems pretty interesting. How they're going to be doing this, but overall, I decided to stay out of it, quite frankly, and that was just my opinion. And then if an ICO doesn't sell out quickly, it's typically not a good sign. When you're looking at ICOs, you want realistically, you really want an ICO that's going to sell out very quickly. And then, so DW mentioned that it's 0.0. I guess the pre-sale tokens were locked in at 0.008 cents or 8 cents. I don't know exactly what that was, maybe 8 cents. And the crowd sale got a better deal. Yeah, that sucks. And that's the type of thing that really companies, I'll get to your question there in a second, Deeker, for sure. But really as as companies go, you really want to, when it comes down to it, if you screw over your investors in any stretch, word's going to get out, and you're going to get a negative reputation, and you're going to get a thread bashing you on Reddit or somewhere else. And then from that perspective, it's going to ruin your ICO. So maybe, in this case, if Power Ledger, and I don't know the exact confirmation there again, but if Power Ledger gave their pre-sale investors or token purchasers a good deal, or was supposed to be a good deal, and then the crowd sale comes out and it's not going as well as they thought, and then they give them the crowd sale even better benefits than the pre-sale, you can bet your ass the pre-sale people are going to be really pissed, and they're going to voice that all over the place. And then from there, they're going to be in trouble. So that's one thing you want to look at from the perspective of an ICO is, are they screwing over their investors? If they are, just make sure. So Deeker mentioned thoughts on Coinigy. I dig Coinigy. Actually, I think it's like 15 or 19 bucks a month. If you want to use Coinigy, I think this link. So let me see here. Let me type it in. So I think that should, there you go. Yeah, if you want to try Coinigy, that link, it's my referral link, but so I think I get like a free month if you sign up through that link. But right now I pay like 15 bucks a month for Coinigy. I like it. It's pretty cool in the sense that you can, so it's really exclusively for cryptocurrency, and basically it just gives you all the exchanges, or a lot of the big exchanges. So you can see on the left hand side, this is the exchanges. So if I want to find Bitcoin, and if I want to go to see how Bitcoin is trading on GDAX, I go over here and see that. And it's also pretty cool because you can link it from an API perspective to a lot of you can link it from an API perspective, and you can also set alerts and do orders on. You can do orders on these exchanges as well. So you can see like my GDAX exchanges here, some of the sell orders and some of the buy orders that I put on, like on an ETH to BTC ratio, and if I've executed them, if I've canceled them, whatever. So I dig Coinigy. I think it's pretty cool. If you're serious about the space, $15 a month, or 15 or 20 bucks, whatever it is, really not that much money when you consider being able to get a lot better charting than you do on a lot of these, whether it's GDAX, if it's Bittrex, whatever it is. You have a lot better charting capabilities there, so I like it a lot. So, Anton, I appreciate that super chat, my man. And we'll take a look at this now for sure. So, Crypto 20, and I I saw Box Mining, who is a pretty popular YouTuber. I saw his, he had a video, I think a sponsored video review with the founder of Crypto 20. I haven't done a ton of research. The pre-sale's happening in the next couple days, so looking at it, first tokenized cryptocurrency investing fund, which there are a couple different companies targeting this right now. You have kind of Economy targeting this. You have Melonport targeting it really. Maybe you would redefine. Goddamn burrito coming up on me. Maybe you would refine. Chris, have a good one. Maybe you would redefine, the actual index fund, but I think, you have Economy in the space, you have Melonport, you have Black Moon Crypto. So this, seems to be targeting somewhat of a kind of similar token as a fund type of deal. I don't know if this is, let me see if this is where Naval Ravikant has invested in, let me see, Naval. So this is actually something different. So Naval Ravikant was coming out recently, who is one of the guys over at AngelList, but I guess he's going Bitwise Asset Management. But I haven't, quite frankly, as far as it goes, I haven't done a ton of research as far as Crypto 20 goes. You certainly want to do your due diligence there, get a good understanding of really what's going on. I think there's going to be the index funds are going to be a big deal. There's absolutely no doubt about that. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But I think there's going to be a couple different ones in the space that are really going to be the ones that kind of take hold of crypto. And it's really going to come down to who can execute better on this. This is really interesting. I guess the one thing I would be interested in really too, for me personally, is like how this is a pretty similar perspective to what you see in my, like when I have opened up my 401k and I want to invest in, if I want to invest in whatever mutual fund. This is pretty similar, pretty interesting. And this is somewhat of a fairly diversified, it looks like the top 20 or so cryptocurrencies, diversified from there, and giving some prospectuses there. I'd be curious to see how this would be structured in the case of, is this, the tokens will be tradable on the exchange post ICO. But if this is tied specifically to those cryptocurrencies, how it's used from like a speculative perspective, because a lot of these ICOs, a lot of these tokens are basically speculative. I feel like if this is actually tied to legitimate value, then you can probably find the valuation of this a lot easier. And maybe it's a good way to diversify your holdings. If they can really truly execute on this could be a great way for a newbie to diversify their holdings. There's no doubt about that. But whether or not they can truly execute on that, I guess we'll have to see. So I would, it's an interesting concept for sure. But and then somebody too, I'd be curious as well, if Crypto 20 is open to U.S. residents, because this might be classified as a security. I don't know as well, but a fund token. If it's if you are. To me, this would be, if it aims to track the cryptocurrency market index, this might be something that they might not pay a dividend, but there might be an expectation of profit based on the work of others. So this might be something where it fails the Howey test, and then this is a security. So I'd be interested to hear about that as well. But I'll definitely do some more research there for you too, and hop into that. So Crypto Supply, thanks for that super chat as well, my man. So thank you for that. And then going from there. So why are the Asia coins thriving this week? It's tough to say. For me personally, I don't know if there's a specific reason. Neo has had a nice run, a little bit of a nice comeback. It was up to, I think it was plus $35 at one point. Neo and Qtum typically trade pretty pretty well. But if you look in the past 7 days, Neo went from worth about $26 to at one point above 38 and is now settling back down, still above 30. But, with that being said, Neo, I'm still a little bit nervous about Neo just with all the, with all the China news. There's just so much. I think there's a lot of people that are now saying that China has basically banned cryptocurrency in China and a lot of the cryptocurrency trading in China because they're trying to establish, if they're trying to establish trying to really establish like what is, I'm just losing my thought process right now, but trying to basically get a really solid control on cryptocurrencies and take some of the decentralization away and really heavily control the market, at least for maybe China-based cryptocurrencies. So with that being said, Neo could certainly, if like Neo becomes that platform for China still, if China comes out and the regulation issues get fixed, that'll be interesting. But yeah, I guess, we'll have to see how that ends up, going. So somebody Shalom mentioned Neo is going to $200 easy. I don't know about going to $200 easy. That's 6x. So we're talking about going up to $10 billion. It's possible to have Neo as a $10 billion market cap company. But redefine easy, because I wouldn't say that's easy by any stretch. So we'd have to see. And I think Shalom, you're throwing around the word easy pretty loosely there. I don't think everything goes up 10x like that. But thoughts on ETH. My thoughts on Ethereum. I have been bullish on Ethereum, quite frankly. I really like Ethereum. I like what it's doing in the space. I like that it's actually a cryptocurrency that has legitimate use cases. It's not just vaporware. It's not just BS. So I'm personally a big fan of Ethereum. I'd like to see it. Even, there's a lot of issues right now with, going on. Actually, hold on. I'm on the wrong thing here. There's a lot of issues right now from Ethereum's perspective with how it's trading against, Bitcoin, and a lot of, can it hold up when, what am I doing here? Can Ethereum hold up when it comes down to, can Ethereum hold up when it comes, if Bitcoin goes through some trouble with the potential SegWit 2x fork, how that will happen and what goes on there. So for me personally, I think that I was hoping that the Metropolis update and a lot of what is happening in Ethereum, a lot of what's going on there, I was hoping that this was going to be something that would propel Ethereum to a really solid month for October. So far, not that much happening in the way of mostly Ethereum following the price of Bitcoin, but we'll have to see really how it shakes out. I still think that Ethereum is in the near future, it's going to eclipse its all-time high around that $400 mark that we see up here. We could see up here back from the beginning of September. I still think that's going to happen. I'm still bullish on Ethereum. I think it is. Between Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and a couple others, I think obviously Ethereum is number 2, but I think I think that it's one of the cryptocurrencies that actually has utility and actually has people using the platform and real people developing on it. And while it absolutely has its limitations, while it absolutely has its issues, there's really nothing like Ethereum in the marketplace right now. And I've talked about it before. I'll say it again. I think, Bitcoin is that digital gold that, really is a beautiful store of value and a great place to keep your money. On the other side of the house, Ethereum is the potential future decentralized platform to really take computing and just be really Web 3.0. So I'm excited about Ethereum and the potential there. And I'm bullish going forward here. I hold about equal Ethereum to Bitcoin right now just because I think that's, for me, a pretty good mix, but we'll have to see how it plays out. So demarket ICO versus the engine ICO. I did a review on the engine ICO. I think it's an interesting, we can pull it up now. So I did a review on the engine ICO. Where we got here? I'll pull that bad boy up. They, I think, are at like 77% or 78% right now of the crowd sale. It went live today. I'd like to see them, personally, I'd like to see them sell out and get a little bit closer to selling out within the next day. That would be, I think, important to see. $25 million hard cap. So I want to see them sell out to get some momentum into the ICO. And I would have liked to see them, quite frankly, sell it a little bit faster. But I still think it's a really interesting platform. And when you're talking about gaming, there's a couple places where cryptocurrency is really logical, and engine coin and gaming is something that I think is pretty logical. And when you're talking about the built-in distribution network that they have, they have a legitimate business already that I think transitions well to having a cryptocurrency and having a platform for creating tokens and creating these products on engine coin. So I still think that's a really interesting crypto ICO, but again, I would have liked to see them sell it a little bit faster, so we'll have to see there as well. So somebody mentioned the Paragon ICO. Did you buy in? No, I wouldn't. Personally, unless you bought in so far, I wouldn't touch the Paragon ICO with a 10-foot pole. Really just not. It's becoming the epitome of what's bad in ICOs in a lot of respects. I think that it's tied to these celebrities. It's marijuana on the blockchain. It's all that type of crap. And they have been absolutely murdering my social media on whether I'm logging into Twitter, whether I'm logging into Facebook. It doesn't matter what I'm on. They're just murdering it. So for me, I'm not really interested in the Paragon ICO. I think that you really probably don't need to have marijuana, real estate, and marijuana blockchain, and marijuana and weed blockchain. I don't know. That's just, I feel like there's a couple places where there's really logical transitions. Just because you can tokenize something doesn't mean people will actually utilize the token. I sell enterprise software for a living where people actually need to utilize this shit, and they still don't want to use it because they don't like changing the way they do something. So if you think you can just go to some freaking whatever, some weed, some pot grower, or some owner of some marijuana place, or whatever it might be, and be like, hey, use this token, download this wallet, go onto Bittrex and use this token, and we'll use that to transact and all this good stuff. I don't know. It's just I think there's a lot of people trying to, and there was literally one quote, I forget what they said, where the founder said that we already have enough money in our lives. We're just doing this because we want to help out the community. How is doing an ICO helping out the community? It's not. It's ridiculous. At least if you're going to do an ICO, and I have nothing against doing an ICO, literally nothing against doing an ICO, but because, I've participated in a bunch of ICOs, I'm advising an ICO in the near future here, and with that being said, ICOs are a way to raise capital to advance your business, for a lot of these businesses to make money in that. And as far as it goes, crypto supply, I will get to that in a second there. But ICOs are, if you're saying you're not doing an ICO because you want to raise money or you want to make money, you are full of shit. So saying that you're doing that to benefit the community, how is that benefiting the community? It's not. It's bullshit. So just say you want to make money or say you want to raise money to do it. What's the harm in that? Just come out and say it. Not a big deal. So when they say, I want to, I don't know, that really turned me off and kind of pissed me off. Do you think I'm stupid? Because I'm actually not stupid. So crypto supply, you mentioned NEO, the potential rumor of China's creating a government token through NEO to have, CNY to PBOC coin pairing. Some are buying on this rumor. I think that's definitely a potential. I mean, there's, if you look at how, how cryptocurrency has gone, and typically regulations within China, there's a lot of hope to centralize things on how that goes. So I think that it's definitely a possibility that there is going to be some type of like maybe official government backed, or China's just trying to ban certain things to just kind of get their arms and hands wrapped around shit more and more, and then open it back up to the world. So with that being said, I would definitely keep an eye on that, and that's probably something that the rumor mill with Neo is going to continue to drive as well. Christian, thank you for that super chat, man. I really do appreciate that. That is as much appreciated. So CoinSkank, put all my money into Paragon and Power Ledger, and now they suck. I mean, I don't know if they're trading on the exchanges yet, and I wouldn't say they suck, but I didn't invest. I think Power Ledger is much more legit in my opinion than Paragon. But and also, let's see, Paragon Fortune. Let's see here. Was it Forbes? It might have been Forbes. Let me pull this up. So here's the article, which this is where we go. Let me see. So here, this is exactly what pissed me off. They say their motives are transparent and above board. We don't need money in our lives. We don't need fame. Out of our own desire to help, we have decided to make it for the community. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. So, yeah. If you want to see that article, you can pop it. I'll pop it over here. But it's funny, man. It's... I just couldn't agree. Like, I couldn't agree less. It's Setrock Software. I appreciate that, my man. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for those super chats too. I really do appreciate that, guys. If you really have a question you absolutely want answered, I'm happy to answer those. With super chat, but trying to take everything in at once for sure. Yeah, so Digital Punk just mentioned there will not be there is going to be an Ethereum or an ETH fork, but it's not a contentious fork. So basically they're kind of ditching the old version. The current version of Ethereum is here. The new version, the Metropolis version of Ethereum is here. People are basically going to stop using the old version and just utilize the new version. The difference there with right now with some of the conversation around Bitcoin is, there's Bitcoin Core right now that has implemented SegWit, and then there's the people that want to do SegWit 2x, and there's a legitimate possibility in the near future where there's going to be literally people running Bitcoin Core and people running Bitcoin SegWit 2x, and then you'll literally have two Bitcoins running side by side in addition to Bitcoin Cash. So I don't have enough arms and hands to do all that, but that's the difference between a contentious hard fork and a non-contentious hard fork. Is right now, Bitcoin is potentially in the month of November going to have a contentious hard fork. Ethereum in the near future is not having a contentious hard fork, so that basically the old version of Ethereum is just going to die off and people are going to go move to the new version, and that's how you can technically advance and scale that system. Yeah, so somebody mentioned there are two Bitcoin forks coming, Gold and SegWit 2x. I think Gold is similar to Bitcoin Cash, where if you hold Bitcoin, you're just going to get this Bitcoin Gold. I haven't done a massive amount of research on Bitcoin Gold, quite frankly, yet. But I believe that it's something in which it's going to be like Bitcoin Cash. If you have Bitcoin in a wallet, probably not an exchange. If you hold it on a legitimate wallet, you're going to get some Bitcoin Gold into your into your address. But I haven't looked into that too much yet. So somebody mentioned, have I seen or talked about Chainlink? So I actually, where are we at over here? So you can see here, where are we at? Chainlink. If this pulls up my trades. So I invested in Chainlink on, so I did a little bit of a trade, not much, just a couple ETH, but I did a little bit of a trade on CryptoSpark wanted to tell you hello. What's up, CryptoSpark and everybody? I know he mentioned me in a video, which is pretty cool, so I appreciate that. Seems like a good dude, and I think I'll probably end up seeing if we could do some type of collaboration in the near future. But he was nice enough to to mention me in a video as top YouTubers to check out. So appreciate that, CryptoSpark. And where we got this Ether Delta, of course, is being slow as all hell. But so basically, Chainlink, really interesting. I think Chainlink is potentially one of. Here we go. So I mean, it was pretty small, quite frankly. I just threw in a couple Ethereum. I threw in like 2.6 ETH. I bought it when it was at 0.00. You can see here 0.00067 Ethereum, and I sold it. Did a little bit of a short-term trade when it got up to 0.00083 ETH. And then sold a little bit more when it went down a bit, and it has since just kind of skyrocketed back up. I'm actually considering buying a little bit more into Chainlink. I like what they're doing. If you're not super familiar with Chainlink, it is a recent ICO, but a lot of what Chainlink is trying to do is in regards to what is called oracles, and it's a really interesting, Chainlink spiked up quite a bit from the ICO. So if you got into the ICO, damn good on you. But Chainlink spiked up quite a bit, and it's had a little bit of a pullback, but I'm looking at another much more significant entry point from 2.5 Ethereum. But it's something that's going to really connect with smart contracts and act as something of a, basically help to advance smart contracts and advance the functionality and usability of smart contracts quite a bit through the utilization of oracles. And they were mentioned in a couple different things. This was one of the big things that I thought was really interesting. And so, I've talked to a couple different people about this, but I work in enterprise software, so I'm very familiar with Gartner, who is a research firm. Being mentioned by Gartner, like my company is ranked by Gartner, and that's like a really big selling point for us. So the fact that Gartner is willing to put their name or include Chainlink on a cool vendor resource is, I think, a pretty big deal. And I'm really interested in seeing how how Chainlink can continue to advance in the space. So I am personally, I didn't participate in the ICO because I actually forgot that the ICO was happening that morning like an asshole. And of course, when I forget the ICO is happening like an asshole, it goes up like 4 or 5, it goes up quite a bit since the ICO. So if you got in on the ICO, fantastic. From an actual valuation perspective, you're looking at $120 million cryptocurrency. In terms of where it's trading and the actual, basically in terms of where it's trading and then where I think this could go, I still think there's probably quite a bit of room for Chainlink to do well. So I'm checking out whether I'm evaluating a much more substantial entry into this, even though it's up quite a bit. So I might dip my feet into a pretty big bet on Chainlink to see kind of how that might move as well. And CryptoSpark, what is going on again, dude? Appreciate that from that last, appreciate that video from before, man. Taking a look at these questions, and Wayman, appreciate that super chat as well. Thanks a lot for that. Very much appreciated. And guys, if you have any questions, so there you go, Wayman. What do I think about the big three: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin in 3 months? So a couple quick thoughts on that I'll discuss. So Bitcoin, I think it's going to be interesting in the next 3 months. What happens with this SegWit 2x versus no 2x drama? Is Bitcoin going to fork? Is it? Because that I just can't wrap my head around that. If it forks again, if there's literally a Bitcoin Core and a Bitcoin 2x version, that's going to be, I think that's going to be trouble, or at least the FUD and the craziness going around on that is going to be going to be interesting. So keep, in terms of looking at Bitcoin in the next month to 2 months, you're going to want to keep an eye on that SegWit 2x versus no 2x drama. Ethereum, the big thing here with Ethereum right now, at least in my opinion, is how Metropolis goes, how the transaction scalability happens, how these new, how this hard fork turns out to work for Ethereum. And again, this is a non-contentious hard fork, so it's not splitting in two, and there's not going to be, there's not going to be an Ethereum Classic versus an Ethereum situation again, nothing like that. And then Litecoin. So Litecoin's an interesting one. For me personally, I have a very small position in Litecoin, very, very small, especially in comparison to Bitcoin and Ethereum. For me personally, I kind of like both Bitcoin and Ethereum a little bit more than Litecoin, but I know that especially with kind of Charlie Lee in the space and really active on Twitter and all that type of stuff, there's a lot of people that kind of buy into that. And it certainly has its level of usability, but when you're talking about Litecoin basically acting as the silver to Bitcoin's gold, I'd rather just, in a lot of cases, I'd rather buy gold. Why buy silver? I'll just buy gold. So that's kind of, my thought process there is, if I want to buy gold, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. If I want to just maybe dabble a little bit in Litecoin, I can. But I'm not a massive, I like Charlie Lee. I think Litecoin is a good crypto, but it's not, if I'm putting, I can only invest in so many cryptocurrencies at one specific time. So Litecoin isn't always my first choice as far as which one I want to invest in. Somebody, Krishan, just said I kind of find it boring. I kind of do as well, and it just goes to the point of, I know people that have done really, really well in Litecoin, and if you have, absolutely good on you as well. But with Litecoin, like I said, I'd rather just buy gold rather than buying silver. Silver is faster than gold. That is true, Mark. Silver is faster than gold. There isn't a potential hard fork, and the transaction fees are a lot cheaper. So silver definitely does have its advantages. But when you're talking about, I think a lot of people, quite frankly, right now, when they're looking at Bitcoin, they basically are ignoring a lot of the crap going on with, that's going on with the transaction fees issues and things like that. And it's really not being used as much for transactions as it is really just as a store of value. That's at least my opinion. I think really Bitcoin initially, and one of the big goals of Bitcoin is to be utilized as a transactional cryptocurrency as well. But to that, in that perspective, it is, it's something that it's becoming, in my opinion, with a lot of these issues around it, it's more of a store of, it's being a little bit positioned more as a store of value, or people are just using it more as a store of value. Yeah, and somebody mentioned LTC has a lot of new mining power coming on board, which means there'll be, I don't think LTC, I don't think Litecoin is necessarily going anywhere by any stretch, but if there's just, I'm pretty strategic about where I want to put my investments in the space. So I want to have some larger, I want to have some steady cryptocurrencies, and I also want to have some diversified like moonshot bets as well. So when I'm looking at the larger steady cryptocurrencies, personally, I'd rather have my money in Bitcoin and in Ethereum than in Litecoin just long term. Although Litecoin has, in a lot of respects, outperformed. In the past 2 months, Litecoin basically outperformed Ethereum in some respects. So there's that. But I guess we'll have to see. So somebody mentioned thoughts on Dogecoin. Dogecoin got me into cryptocurrency. The community at Dogecoin was awesome back in the day. Right now, I am not if I'm being straight up honest, I'm not a massive, I wouldn't use Dogecoin as an investment vehicle to expect to make money on. Checking out some of these questions. So I don't know Aeon too much, quite frankly. So sorry about that. And EBTC, what the hell is EBTC? Let me take a look at this. This one, is this EBTC? Is this new? What the? And guys, just my advice. I don't know if this is a brand new cryptocurrency or what, but maybe it is, maybe it's not. But if it looks like, if your CoinMarketCap looks like this and there's literally no data in CoinMarketCap and the only place it's trading is Ether Delta, you might want to watch out. I don't know too much if this is the new, what the? Yeah, no. Yeah, no, I wouldn't touch that with the 10-foot pole. That website looks like it was designed by a 7-year-old. So somebody mentioned, what do I think about Manetha? Do I think it will raise? Yeah, I think Manetha will rise once it hits the exchanges. So I'm still holding on to Manetha because I feel like I could sell my Manetha right now. I got in on the Manetha ICO. I could sell my Manetha for like a 20% ETH pairing profit, but I think there's more to be had. And I, at one point in time, could have sold it for not a 20% profit, about a 300% profit. And I didn't do that. So now am I holding on too much? I'm not holding bags, but am I holding on to it a little bit too much? Yeah, probably. But I still think that it has to get added to an exchange sooner rather than later. It's been like a month. But that's definitely something that you want to, you want to be aware of as far as it goes. Is that gap between when a company ICOs, when a token ICOs now, and when it hits that exchange is getting longer and longer and longer and longer, which sucks for investors. But yeah, I mean, that's, from what I'm seeing a lot of times is, you could get into an ICO, the ICO will go up, a good percentage in the first couple days and then just drop like a cliff afterwards. And you probably buy back pretty close to the ICO price. And then wait till it gets on exchange, which is probably what I should have done with Manetha. So do I think Monero is up for a huge crash due to sites idly mining XMR through people's browsers? Is that going to cause people to hate the Monero? I don't know if that's necessarily going to cause people to hate Monero. I don't know if there's really a correlation there, quite frankly. Pretty crazy that I think that was Pirate Bay and a couple other places were literally mining Monero, utilizing your computer, basically hacking your computer to mine Monero without you really knowing it, and just sucking up your computer's resources. But Monero, I mean, that's really not the value proposition of Monero. It's more that privacy cryptocurrency. It's more that privacy coin. And I think that's a lot of the value. And I think privacy coins are going to continue to do pretty well as people want to, get around and skirt around regulations or do whatever the hell they want to do privately. So that's something that it's fairly interesting to me. And I don't think necessarily the mining of that is really going to change all that much. You guys, a lot of questions here, trying to answer as many as possible. If you absolutely need an answer, just throw it in the super chat. I'll get to it. But trying to go through and answer as many of these as I possibly can. Max, what's up, man? You are on TV. What is going on? This will be on TV for you later as well. Potcoin hit bottom. Yeah, I mean, if you want to invest in Potcoin, go for it. But, yeah, I'm gonna pass. If I'm gonna pass on Paragon, I'm gonna pass on Potcoin as well. So Morgan mentioned no Yankees. Honestly, I'm not a huge baseball fan. I was a Yankees fan when I was a kid, but I am a pretty diehard Jets fan, unfortunately. So I'm very much a big football fan. I was at the Jets game this weekend. Somehow they actually won too, which is shocking. Which is why I didn't have a video on Sunday, was because I went to the Jets game. But yeah, I'm not a big Yankees fan. More of a football guy, more of a Jets guy. So somebody mentioned, I really believe a lot of people are selling their positions in alts for the upcoming fork. I mean, I think altcoins have just not, for the most part, a lot of them really just haven't kept up with the pace of Bitcoin. So a lot of people are starting to realize, like, yeah, I'm trying to put these I'm trying to put these bets, I'm trying to make these gambles on these altcoins, and Bitcoin has just continued to rise and rise and has done really well. So, I think a lot of people are just getting to that point in time where, getting to that point in time where they would rather have their money in, in Bitcoin or some of these larger cryptocurrencies than some of these smaller altcoins, and because it might shield them from the pain of a downward spiral a little bit more. Yeah. So I'm seeing we got some Cowboys fans here. You'll be alive to see the Lions finally win a Super Bowl then. If I'm alive for the Jets to win a Super Bowl, I don't care what it costs. I'll pay anything to go to that Jets Super Bowl. So Brian mentioned just join the live stream. So thanks for joining, man. What do you have to do to get Bitcoin Gold from Bitcoin? I don't know necessarily right now. I think if you have a hardware wallet or if you have something of that nature, I feel like most exchanges, when there is a hard fork like that, or when there's some type of like Bitcoin Gold hard fork or Bitcoin Cash hard fork, a lot of the exchanges will just keep that stuff. So you typically want to get it off of an exchange and onto either like a desktop wallet or a hardware wallet, so you can take advantage of that. But I would definitely research that. I'm sure Bitcoin Gold, if you go on their website, I'm sure they'll tell you exactly how to obtain that. And so we got ARK here as well, and that had a pretty big spike back in mid-September and has fallen off a cliff. When I'm looking at this, when you're looking at ARK, I think you want to look at that and try and see if that's actually going to be able to recover from that. This might be a pretty legitimate top. I've seen this happen, with multiple cryptocurrencies where it goes up, it has this beautiful steady rise up. Everybody's super excited about it, real happy, they love it, and then from there, it starts falling off a cliff. People sell. They stop taking profits, and just nobody wants to buy it anymore. So, when I'm looking at that, it almost looks like the earlier version of like a Scicoin chart. If you want to, when you're looking at, let's take a look at Scicoin. Scicoin was definitely a little bit steeper, but I mean, if we're looking at Scicoin, you had that big spike, that peak back in July, and it's basically fallen off a cliff ever since. So definitely just something you want to be aware of when you're looking at a chart like that with ARK. So Richard Martin said, do I use Coinigy? Yeah, I do. I dig Coinigy. I think it's pretty cool. I talked about it a little bit before, but if you really want to, utilize Coinigy, have the little referral link here for you. Gives me, I think, a free month, so nothing crazy. But if you want to, I'll pop it in here again. But if you want to check that out and you want to help me out at all, just use that link. That'll get me, I think, one free month, and I don't know if that gets you anything in return. But Coinigy is pretty sweet. I like it. It's worth the $15 a month, in my opinion. If you have a couple $1,000s in cryptocurrency, it's probably worth it to play around with that as well. Lady M, have a good one. Appreciate the kind words. Thank you. BCH, B Gold, and maybe is that SegWit 2X will continue to inflate Bitcoin crypto supply? I don't know. If I'm being frank, I think that I don't really know how much Bitcoin Gold is going to make a difference. It seems like it's kind of coming out of nowhere. I really don't know what Bitcoin Gold is going to do and how it's going to impact the price. I don't know if it's going to have much of a movement, if at all, to the point of the SegWit 2X. I think that's going to have a lot more of an impact on things as well than Bitcoin Gold or B Gold, whatever you want to call it, is going to have an impact. So I would really keep an eye on SegWit 2X and how that's potentially going to impact the price. because if there's a lot of infighting right now, there's a lot of craziness on Twitter. I mean, literally, I'll pull this up. And if you don't follow me on Twitter, here, I'll throw this in the chat, but crypto_Bobby, you can shoot me a follow on Twitter. Try to help you keep up with as much stuff as possible. But let me see if I can scroll through here and see if I can find anybody yelling about SegWit 2x. So let's see here. Not yet, which is pretty crazy. So there's no 2x. Somebody's saying that now you have one of the Bitcoin core developers, SegWit adoption. A lot of information on SegWit 2x versus no 2x, and somebody else with the no 2x in their profile. So there's a lot of infighting right now. A lot of things happening in the space of cryptocurrencies. So, or in the space specifically of Bitcoin. So I would definitely check out Twitter, and if you want to, if you find it helpful, if you follow me, just go into, you should be able to click on who I'm following, and I would recommend just going through there. And there's a lot of people, basically I just follow anybody, who I deem to be pretty important people and important companies in the space. So if you if you have a Twitter and you want to kind of get more involved in blockchain and following that, I would definitely recommend just hitting over to the following tab that I'm in, and you could just hit some people up there. So definitely something that I would check out. Joseph, what is up, my dude? Appreciate you joining. Thank you. So somebody mentioned, what do I think of EOS or EOS or however the hell you want to pronounce it, EOS. I'm not a big fan of EOS personally. The year-long ICO thing I think is kind of ridiculous. It's basically gone, I don't want to say gone off a cliff, but a pretty slow, steady decline since the ICO. I know I believe it's a Dan Larimer project who's been pretty big in the space, and it's basically trying to be the next level of Ethereum and be a better Ethereum. And if it can be Ethereum, if it can be a better Ethereum, if it can scale better than Ethereum, then, I mean, Ethereum is a $20+ billion. That on mute when I sneezed. But Ethereum is a massive cryptocurrency. It is over $20-25 billion. If EOS is worth 200 million, if that's a pretty significant movement if it could overtake Ethereum. But I don't know. I don't know if it has that in it. So we'll have to see. I'm not a massive fan of it. But you could see down here, this is crazy distribution period and this year-long ICO and all this, kind of crazy shit. I'm just not a big fan of that. I feel like they should have just done an ICO, done a normal ICO, and distributed the tokens like that, and have gone on their merry way of building a platform that can or cannot replace Ethereum and take it over. So we'll have to see what happens there. If you want to bet on it to replace Ethereum, go ahead and do that, because that's essentially the bet you're making if you kind of put that on EOS. So that's kind of my thought process there. And outside of that, guys, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. I do daily recorded videos on the subject of cryptocurrency, and I do these happy hours once, a couple different times a week when I can, when I have a break from work and have an opportunity to hop on here as well. But if you are new to that channel, hit that subscribe button. That'd be fantastic. I would really appreciate that. And then from that standpoint, I am actually going to. I'm going to take it easy for the rest of the night from here on out. My voice is getting sore as hell from talking for the past hour and a half, so I'm going to actually drink some water, maybe have a glass of wine and kind of relax, watch some TV, maybe watch some crypto stuff. So I appreciate the time, guys. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking with you. It's been a pleasure interacting with all you guys. You're all fantastic, and I really appreciate and enjoy this community so much. It's been fantastic. The video itself, if you joined late, it usually uploads pretty quick. So if you want to catch it from the beginning, you should be able to do that.